I'll make stuff like that. Alright, so I designed my cheat, all that good stuff. I think we're good. You see health and score, they always stay with you because it's on the UI layer and it's set to parallax 00, which means it does not move as the player moves or as the environment moves, etc. And let's go and show you. Pressing 1 now. Uh-oh. Oh, he's dead. Restart. And something broke. Well, you know what broke? Because when health is less than 0, it restarts the layout. However, we're using a global variable. Global variables do not restart when a layer or a layout. Global variables do not restart when a layout restarts. So if we would have made this player one is health a local variable, it'd be fine. And I'll show you that right now. So right now we're basically stuck because his health is still less than 0, so it's continually restarting the layout is what it's trying to do. And we're just stuck. Oh, yeah, let me show you that here. Let me change. Let's go ahead and disable that. And is OR still enabled here? Okay, we're going to add another condition. Oh, I don't have it created yet. We are going to add an instance variable, and we're just going to call it health. Number was 100. And to really show you this, I'm going to have to replace some of this stuff too. My cheat. Subtract from health. 4. And for the sake of this, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Shit. Let's set health to. Now that was just player health. This is actually the player dot health. Disable that because I don't want the globals to be around. Start layout, row in here, row in here. We're pretty much set. Disable that. And I think we're good. Okay, let me try this out. Okay, so you see your health is still here. It does subtract as we want it to. Oh, I died anyway. I just want to show you a good area where you can see the health. There we go. And we'll see. Oh, you know what? I don't think. Oh, I didn't have it enabled yet. That's right. Add another condition. Player. Compare instance variable is less than 1. Done. There we go. Restart layout. Now let's start this. I'll go over here just so you can see that I moved positions. There we go, and I restart with my health back at the same spot. So that's the difference. Now I just tend to use global variables because I was thinking that as I progress through levels, I'm going to keep the same health. And so basically you're going to keep the same health through all these levels. And so it's important to watch your health more. So that's why. Now, since I'm doing that, I'm going to have to manipulate, since I still want to do that. And so I'm going to have to manipulate my global upon death. So let me get rid of some of this stuff. We're going to keep that and get rid of that. And I can just delete this, but I'm just going to disable it for now. Okay, alternatively, you could actually have both running if you wanted to. Here's a good example for that, and maybe I will do this. You could have something at the very end of your level counting up certain things like how much health you've lost, or how much only happened in that one level or layout. And a good way to do that is with an instance variable, because that's just easy. It would be hard. Well, it'd be harder to use a global, because you'd have to be like, okay, what's the snapshot of the current global setting, load that into its separate global, and then go from that global. But you could just do instance, and that kind of makes it easy. Okay. Okay, so we have all that good stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Don't need to mess with loading. Okay. So on the collision of death sprite, or basically when the player dies, it's going to restart the layout. But what we're also going to do is we're going to set the player health back to 0, or back to 100. And you could do that before or after. Sometimes that makes a difference. We'll see if it does this time. Yeah, it's all good. And just to hammer that in, to make sure that's right, I'm going to get rid of the local variable to make sure that none of that is interfering. Yep, so you see the reset of the global still made it work. Alternatively, we could have used instance to make it work, but like I said, I want to make sure to keep this health as I go through levels, as I progress. So, okay. One thing that didn't happen, our score didn't update on that one because we didn't get to that yet. That's another UI. And again, we could have this be every tick that it updates your score. However, I'm going to show you something different this time, and you could use this for player health text as well, because certain things are going to make your health go down. So instead of every tick, I believe it is potentially more performance-wise more beneficial and efficient to only adjust that variable when you need to. So for instance, instead of every tick, you could have it only update and adjust when you get hit by an enemy, or that kind of thing. And I'll show you how to do that with health. So up here, go to next layout, add 100 to player score. We're going to set player score also. It's not right there. Player score text. We are going to set the text. If I just have it score or something like that. And of course we do an and sign. And I'm just going to type this one out. When you start typing, if you have stuff available, it'll start bringing it up for you. But I think you have to type. No, it's not case sensitive. Okay. So score, we're going to set this bad boy to player score variable. And so now instead of every tick the player score being updated, it's only going to trigger when we need it, which is not right here, but it is down here. So you notice our score is at 0. And then something else we'll probably need is, since this is a global variable, the score, probably you would want that to be global. You could also have another local for that as well, or an instance. Instance and local, kind of interchangeable. Boom. Oh, look at that. It reset to 0. And that, okay, so the reason that happened, and if you notice, it did set to 100, but then it reset to 0. And that is because we're not using the every tick function. And also, I think it's because the UI is global, and it's always setting it back to 0. So what's happening, I could be wrong on that one. Let me look at that again. I'm going to show you how to use the debug layout function, which you will start using eventually. When you use this, you can see certain things like all of the variables and stuff down here. So what I'm thinking happened is it just, since the text is hard coded, the score equals 0, that it basically just changed it and then re-overrode it. Okay, look at that again. Alright, so we did level, see our player health and our player score is 0. So something in here effed it up. Now, if I just change that to every tick, that could happen. Oh, that could have, yeah, I guess resetting the layout, that could happen more and more. Let me just drag this down here. I think this should work. But again, right now, there's every single tick, it's keeping these scores updated. And you see your score updates. Woot. And see if your score update. Whoa, that's close. Score even updates there. So it'll update each time that triggers, because it's still hitting that same sprite. Now, a couple things, we could do that a couple different ways, or handle changes to that. You'll know, okay, so still, level 1 door, level 1 door. You could make another object, which is level 2 door, or, this could just be called level door, and what you could do is just define it. So on collision with level door, if this was just generally level door, and then you'd say, okay, well, let me add another condition. Compare two values. Layout name is equal to level 1. Then it could happen, it could be something different than if this was level 2. You can use the same object, different functionality, based on further conditions. And again, it'll get down to how you want to organize your game, what's more efficient, that kind of thing. Because I'll start thinking down a path that, I have 20 levels on something, for example, and 20 enemies, or 20 levels and full of enemies. Each level I could have the same object go across the same, go across all levels, but just have the animation change, have a lot of the functionality change, the effects and stuff like that. However, also, if I try to stack so many things on one object, that can be a pain in the ass to code around, because what you're doing is you're using one object and then you're using coding to fill in everything else. Alternatively, you could use a bunch of objects and have probably a little bit less coding. So there's a couple different ways to look at it. I do know that having a bunch of objects will increase your game size, because objects are animation, sprites, images, and obviously the more images you have, the bigger images they are, the more finely detailed they are, the bigger the file size, and then in results, the longer it takes your game to initialize and load. People can get impatient with that kind of stuff, etc. I'm gonna stop right there. Thanks for checking this out. Let's see. Next video, we'll probably talk about some enemies. We could set up some more environmental stuff. Yeah. Alright, thank you so much. Norton Studios.